Johnny and his family lived in New York City. When Johnny was 9 years old, at the evening meal, his father asked him, "Would you like to go to my office with me tomorrow?" And Johnny was excited to be able to spend time with his dad and also to see new things that he had not been able to see before. Early that morning, they were both excited and they left and they headed for the subway. When they got downstairs to the subway station, his dad told him, "Now, I want you to pay attention what we're going to do on the way to the office." So they get on the subway car and his dad says to him, "There will be 3 stops that the train will make, but we stay on the train. On the 4th stop, we will get off the train and go upstairs and walk a few blocks to my office." So as each time the train stopped, his dad would remind him, "No, this isn't our stop. We have 2 more. We have 1 more." And finally, on the 4th stop, they got off the subway train and walked upstairs and walked to Johnny's father's office. That morning, Johnny spent the day going around visiting with his dad's employees and spending a lot of time walking around and looking at new things. The employees were excited to see him, and many of them had candy and shared that with him. After lunch, his dad had a meeting, and so Johnny spent the early part of the afternoon in his dad's office reading a book. After the meeting, his dad came in and said, "Well, Johnny, I hope you've had a good day, but it's really time to go home." And so Johnny says, "Okay, I'll get my stuff and we'll go home." And his dad said, "Well, Johnny, I have another meeting that I need to attend, so I'm going to remind you how to get to the subway, and remember, there are 3 stops, but you do not get off. On the 4th stop, you get off and you climb the steps to the street and you will recognize the neighborhood. And you'll be able to walk to the apartment." So his dad took him to the subway station and they walked down the steps, and his dad waited. The train came, and as Johnny got on, he was thinking to himself, "Now, how many stops? That's right, there were 3 stops, but I don't get off until the 4th stop." So the door shut, and Johnny sits down, and he again is thinking about how many stops. He was getting a little bit nervous, a little bit scared, but still he thought he would be okay. The train stopped. And Johnny thought to himself, "Now this isn't it. I think there's 2 or 3 more." And so it stopped the 2nd time, and then it stopped the 3rd time. And then on the 4th stop, Johnny said, "This has to be it." So he gets off the train and he climbs the steps to the street level. And when he gets to the top, he recognizes the neighborhood grocery store. So he knows that he's safe. And so he rushes home to share the news with his mom about his wonderful day spending with his dad in his dad's office, and also the fact that he was on the subway with his dad and he came back, and he was very proud of himself that he was able to do that. What Johnny didn't recognize or didn't know was that his dad was in the subway car immediately behind him and was in a seat where he could always keep an eye on Johnny, just in case he got off at the wrong stop or just in case there was a problem. He was in that car following his son to make sure that he was safe. I think the story is a beautiful example of God gives us the ability to live our lives, to make right decisions. He also promises us that He's always with us, even though we do not recognize it sometimes, certainly as Johnny didn't know that his dad was in the car behind him, and his dad didn't tell him this story until Johnny was an adult and also had his children. But I think it's a beautiful example of how God is always with us to guide us and to direct us. And if we get off on the wrong subway stop, then God's there to show us how to get back on the train again so we can reach our destination. Always knowing that God is with us in all things.
Sir, that's it.